I'm considering getting another field watch. Although I already have a couple of field watches, I want to consider getting a third. However, during these days of the pandemic, we as collectors are somewhat limited in our ability to visit local watch ADs to try on watches. So in this video, I'll discuss why I'm considering yet another field watch. I'll take you on a virtual review of the field watches I've been contemplating, and I'll compare specifications and design attributes to see which watch I like the best. Say that 3 times fast. Which watch, which watch, which watch?
Which watch, which watch, which watch?
Stay tuned. I already have the Hamilton Khaki Field Auto and the Seiko Alpinist. Both are considered field watches, and I've published videos on those watches. I'll leave links to those videos in the description below and in the close of this video. Now, I really like the 2 watches I already have, so why am I considering getting another field watch? Well, let's look at these 2 watches. The Alpinist is a beautiful watch. I love the sunburst green dial and the gold-colored indices. I have a strap code bracelet for this watch, but I prefer it on this brown leather strap. Now, although the Alpinist is truly a field watch, it is actually made from mountaineering. I guess that's the same thing. And it's a rugged watch. But I want something that looks more like a traditional field watch, or at least what I envision as a field watch. Does that make sense? My Hamilton Khaki Field Auto is much closer to what I envision as a classic field watch. I went through a lot of analysis to select this watch. Again, I'll leave links to that video. But in retrospect, there are a couple of attributes that I don't think belongs on what I would consider the quintessential field watch. Those being any polishing of the case, too much printing on the dial, and maybe even a date complication. As you can see, my Hamilton watch has 3 time tracks on the dial: hours, 24 hours, and a minute track, a polished bezel, and a date complication. So is there a watch that matches what I'm looking for? Recently, I've been checking out several field watches, looking at websites, watching YouTube reviews, checking out eBay, and other forums. Let's look at 5 watches that I've been considering closely, and if I think any of them meet my expectations. There is the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical that I considered back when I was looking through all of the Hamilton field watches. I really liked it, but dismissed it due to its 38mm size. At that time, I was looking for a 40mm watch, but I'm rethinking that size constraint. After all, both my Seagull 1963 and my Seiko Alpinist are 38mm watches. Now, this is a hand-wind only mechanical watch, which uses the Hamilton H50 movement, which is based on the ETA 2801-2. This movement works at 21,600 beats per hour and has a whopping 80-hour power reserve. Especially nice since it is a hand-wind only watch. Stainless steel case, sapphire crystal. It has a reasonable 50-meter water resistance. It comes in a selection of dial colors and straps. It has a clean matte dial with Arabic numerals for the 12 hours and smaller 24-hour numbers, and a simple minute track with titanium lume triangle hour indices. Next on our virtual tour of field watches is a British military watch, the CWC G10. Now, CWC is the Cabot Watch Company. Now, you can get these watches new directly from CWC, but I'm looking at the vintage watches made for the British military in the 1980s and 1990s. They seem to have a lot of interest in the watch community recently and can be purchased in a pre-owned condition on eBay these days for under $300 US. These G10s have a similar appearance to the Hamilton we just discussed, but have some significant differences. First, the G10 is a quartz watch, but that is not something that would eliminate this watch from my attention. Also, this is a 36.5mm wide watch without the crown guard. That may be a bit too small for my 7 7/8 inch wrist. But I have an AT&T service anniversary watch, which is only 34 millimeters, and it doesn't look too bad. So I'm willing to give it due considerations. Other than that, its design is similar to the Hamilton. Bead blasted stainless steel case with a matte finish dial and acrylic crystal. Although the printing on the G10 dial is even sparser than that of the Hamilton. A simple set of Arabic hour numerals and that railroad minute track around the outside. I think the most captivating aspect of the G10 is the historical nature of those military characters on the caseback, which gives true historical significance to these watches. Up next is the Smith's Everest PRS-25. As its name suggests, this watch is a homage to a watch that climbed Mount Everest, the Rolex Explorer 1016. These watches are made by Time Factors out of the UK. The original Smith's watches in the UK went out of business several decades ago, and Time Factors purchased the rights to the Smith's name. The original Swiss watch company did make a watch that theoretically went up Mount Everest, but this watch is a homage to the Rolex Explorer. This is a nicely styled field watch. Like the G10, it comes in a 36 millimeter case. But here we have highly polished sides and bezel. Not exactly what I was looking for, given those polished case elements. But this is a very tasteful watch with a clean basic dial and nice aesthetics, and with double historical significance. Its Everest relationship and a Rolex homage. It is reasonably priced at about $350 US, but it's hard to get on order. Now the next watch is maybe a bit big for what I want. It's the Boulder Expedition. The Boulder Supply Company is based in Singapore and creates watches made for the Explorer. The Boulder Expedition is a beefy outdoors watch which incorporates an inner rotating timing bezel operated by a second crown. The previous versions of this watch also had compass points on the bezel, but the current one only has numbers. The case of this watch is 41 millimeters with a full bead blasted finish and a case shape that has some angles in it. I think the size of this watch and added complications, even the date, makes this a watch that doesn't meet the design for which I'm looking, especially at a $600 US price tag. But wait! Boulder has another watch that is more to my liking. This is the Boulder Venture, a 38 millimeter titanium case. Now Boulder specs this watch at 14 millimeters thick, but I've seen some people measure it on their YouTube videos at just 12.2 millimeters. Either way, it has a rugged appearance, especially given the almost non-existent lugs. The simple dial has the usual 12-hour and 24-hour indicators and a plain minute track, all for under $300 US. So there you have it. Now there are a lot more watches I could consider, and maybe I should. There's Marathon, Victorinox, Orient, Farrer, Bremont, and even Seiko has field watches. But I think these come closest to the design of a field watch I want. In fact, I think it really comes down to a decision between the CWC and the Hamilton. Both have a bead blasted case with simple dial design, although the CWC is 1.5 millimeters smaller. No frills, just a plain time-telling utility watch. From the pictures, I like the looks of the Hamilton case shape a bit better than the CWC, but I love the fact that the CWC watches were actually issued to the British military. It's a hard decision to make between these two. I think I'm leaning more towards the CWC, but I need to think about this a bit more. What do you think? Do you have input on either of these watches or any other potential field watches for my consideration? Leave your input in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and here are the links to the videos that I referenced at the beginning of this video on my other field watches. And I'll see you in my next video.